Welcome to Basically Sci-Fi, the short storytelling podcast where we tell stories that you can basically call sci-fi. I'm Jared.
I'm Todd.
And I'm Adam.
And today we have our final crossover episode, which is my story in Todd's universe.
This is the one I was waiting for.
Yeah.
Woo! I am excited, though, for you to abuse my child of a universe.
That's not a good way to put it, but okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I beat your kid too hard, but you know. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. If you've got enough massive heaving chests and dick cleave in it.
No, just some nudity at the end.
At least 15 instances.
Hey, that's enough. At least you're checking off all those boxes.
Writing is really just checking off boxes when you think about it.
I'm not. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I don't know what that means. My brain.
I don't either know.
Doesn't function.
I thought it was funny.
Well, no, I do. I think I know what you mean. Because we all learned how to write, and they teach you stuff, and they're like, you gotta do this and do that, and then you'll be good at it. And so you're checking off the boxes.
Yeah. Thesis, statement, argument 1, 2, and 3. Conclusion.
I write my stories like essays.
Well, I mean, I never learned how to write any other way. So they taught us in school.
That's true, though.
Isn't that a damn shame when you think about it?
I mean, it just means you didn't take any creative writing classes, but yeah.
They should be mandatory.
Out of all the things I would love to be mandatory, I don't know, maybe one. Maybe one.
I don't really want to hear what most people would come up with for creative stories, though.
No, I mean, they might be.
I wouldn't want to be in a class with people that are forced to be there.
That's true.
That's every class.
Yeah, but not every class is a creative writing class, is what I'm saying. I wouldn't want to be in a creative writing class where people are forced to be there.
Did you not take a creative writing class?
Me? No. No, I didn't.
Okay. Okay, well, I mean, because I did, but they are all still forced to be there, because everyone's just going to, like, read their own stuff and then hear praise from their classmates. Like, as soon as you listen to anyone else's, you check out. Like,
it's like fanfic.org.
Yeah.
Or is that a .org?
Probably. No, I think I tried to take one in college, but the school I went to had a relatively prestigious creative writing program, so their classes were always full, and I never got around to showing up early enough to sign up for one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, my school was known for petroleum engineering, and that's why I went for creative writing.
Yeah.
Did you go to like one of them corporate universities?
What?
Like University of ExxonMobil?
No, but a university where a lot of the kids who graduated from there would go on to work for ExxonMobil.
Huh.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know at least one girl who did. Although I think she got laid off because, the time when we graduated.
Yeah, not ideal.
No.
Where'd you guys graduate?
2008?
I graduated in 2009.
Oh, man, that's a bad time. Man.
Yeah, 2009, that would have been it. So,
yeah.
I mean, it would have been right after the collapse.
Yeah, kind of in the midst of it still, but yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that time I couldn't get a part-time job because there weren't any availability.
Because your dad took it.
McDonald's or... All these old fuckers taking my jobs. Shit.
Boy.
I really wanted to build a PC, and it took me forever to find a job.
Yeah, that's the story of the start of my adult life.
Yeah. Oh man, our graduation speech was, hey, now's not a good time to be graduating, but good luck.
Yeah, that was mine too. Yeah.
Oh no.
Like,
oh no.
Basically, someone got up there and was like, dude, strap in, this is gonna suck. Then left.
That's how you know this is a Jared episode, because it always starts real depressing.
It's dark humor. It's called dark humor.
It is. It's humor. Look, we are laughing about this. It's not...
Yeah.
We turned out fine, and no matter how the boomers tried, we made it.
We are
the boomers are actively trying to sabotage.
Yep. Well,
as long as you can feed yourself.
I'll sing that now. Vaguely alive.
All right. Well, my story this time.
To prove that we are vaguely alive.
Yay!
Yeah. My story actually isn't that depressing. You know, as a change of pace.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you don't think that stories in my universe are depressing.
I don't think any of my stories are particularly depressing. It's just the things I talk about before and after them that are.
Yeah.
Gotta bring down the mood, you know.
Oh yeah, no, it's way easier to get a laugh when people are all in a bad mood.
Yeah.
There was some famous public speaker that would do that. He'd get people really riled up and then bring them back down, and then rile them up again and bring them back down. And
Hitler?
What was his name? That's the guy.
All right, so my story. It's called Set in Todd's Universe, which probably has a name. It might.
Yeah, the universe of limited possibilities.
Okay, yeah, the universe of limited possibilities. All right. This story is called The Great Pilgrimage.
Ooh.
Yeah. Early one morning on the planet Zed, somewhere in the City of Light, a merchant craftsman woke up, opened the curtains, and thought, what a lovely day to be alive. Everything just seems to be going so well. This thought troubled Ragmaker. Everything had in fact been going well. Too well. He'd found a fortune to be made in selling his rags to the City of Dark.
Oh! This is on the planet Zen!
Yeah.
Oh, man. Nice. Okay. I'm here, I'm listening.
Ragmaker was pretty sure he knew what they were going to be used for, and it seemed that crazy guy, whose name he had forgotten, was supplying most of the City of Dark's hefty, degenerate population with his rags. So who was he to argue? On top of that, he was really starting to make friends in this community. It had been a year since he'd moved to the City of Light. Initially, it had been something of a struggle reaching out to others. As an outsider who had lived in rural areas of Zen, it was common for the locals to think of him as a bumpkin. He frequently had to explain that while socially acceptable in those rural areas, the fucking of mega sheep was only done on special occasions or when kind of lonely.
Mega sheep!
Mega sheep!
That's what you took away from that sentence? Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, he just got done explaining. It's acceptable.
Now, wait a minute.
Yeah. All in all, Ragmaker had come to the conclusion that he needed to make the pilgrimage to the City of Dark, a common occurrence for the peoples of the City of Light. He made his way to his landlord to pay his next 6 months' rent in order to ensure that he had a place to live when he returned. His landlady was a small, intense woman from the far west of the city. She never made the pilgrimage herself because she was always miserable. Tenant Fucker was only happy when strapped deep in an unsuspecting renter, but that glee never lasted long.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Sorry, I made myself laugh. What can I do for you today, Mr. Ragmaker? She asked, anxiously awaiting the chance to whip out that previously mentioned strap-on.
Wait, it was literal?
Could be.
Yes.
I'm making my pilgrimage. I need to pay 6 months up front, he replied matter-of-factly. Oh, well, okay. I will have to charge you an extra month's worth for the inconvenience of taking all that passive income at once, however. Tenant Fucker was an expert at manipulating the religion of light and dark. She felt a great deal of sorrow while unnecessarily charging more money for comfortable living space. She figured this guilt was enough to balance out all the dark on her mind, and Ragmaker understood. There were always people evil enough to consider themselves pious, despite knowing their own malicious proclivities. And since the god of light and dark was, as all gods are, imaginary, this really held...
That's already
This
canon.
really held no impact. Yeah, I did know that was canon. I think I put that in deliberately. Although it's also just true. This really held no impact. As everyone knows, landlords are the most evil of people. He figured only paying for 1 extra month's rent was probably easier than most landlords would have gone. Ragmaker made his way to a storage unit company. He knew that once Tenant Fucker decided he probably wasn't coming back too soon, she would break in and sell all his valuables, presumably on the grounds that the items were lonely and he wasn't using them anyways. He was therefore going to store all of his valuables, well, almost all of them. He would leave a small statue of relative value for Tenant Fucker to take, like leaving a plate of cookies and glass of milk for Santa so he doesn't shit in your stocking.
This is, of course, Santa from the Limited Possibilities universe.
Probably. Ragmaker went into the storage unit offices, a small, cramped space with 2 desks pushed together side by side, blocking off most of the actual space in the building from the public. Behind the desks sat 2 rapscallions, one entirely disinterested in everything except cleaning a curiously old, crusty handkerchief that he was doing a bad job of hiding under his desk. The other was staring intently at his computer screen until he made a seemingly anguished face and passed his own handkerchief to his neighbor and said, "Here, clean this one too."
Oh no.
"Yeah, all right. But we're even now," the other replied. "What do you want?" the first one asked Ragmaker. "Hi, I need to book a storage unit for 1.5 years. It was best to book a lot of extra time, especially at places like this. Anyone willing to use rapscallions as the public face of their company are likely brutally unscrupulous. Or just other rapscallions, which is to say, brutally unscrupulous. All right, name and money." Ragmaker, and this should suffice. He produced the money and 2 pre-lubricated rags. The ears of the attendants perked up at the name, and the sudden excitement of seeing those rags was too much to contain. The rapscallions jumped up, grabbed them, knocking the actual money on the floor. They quickly ran into the back without a word. 20 seconds later, they emerged looking much more relaxed. I'm Property Thief, and this is my partner, Indecent Exposure. And might I say, Mr. Ragmaker, these are the finest rags we have ever had the pleasure of bucking. Well, thank you for the compliment. Ragmaker knew what he was getting into when giving rapscallions these rags. They were pretty single-minded about that sort of thing. Now, where is my storage unit? Of course, right this way. As Indecent Exposure led him down a narrow hallway filled with padlocked storage units, each having clearly already been broken open, so the business partners could root through the items left behind. The rapscallions noticed Ragmaker's uneasy glances and quickly reassured him. No, we wouldn't rob a maker of such fine quality rags, which was a lie. And really both of them knew it. These rapscallions will be nice to another customer and decide to balance it out by stealing from him, sooner or later. This is why he stored a big bag of the lubricated rags right in front and center of the storage unit, in the hopes they would get distracted by that and not poach any of his actual valuables.
There's so many hoops to jump through in order to just move out of his apartment or whatever. Like,
exactly. From there, Ragmaker made his way to the trains that went to the City of Dark. He could have used one of the many grand slip and slides, but those were more for the tourists, and either led directly to the tourist trap kinds of places, or, if you were unlucky, to the seedier parts of the City of Dark, where you were as likely to get your organs removed as you were to land in the midst of an orgy pile. The trains, however, led to habitation districts, and aimed more at the locals on their pilgrimage. He got on the train and picked a compartment as far from the refreshment area as he could, in the hopes that no one would sit near him and he could reflect on his plans for the pilgrimage. Of course, this didn't work out, and the whole section immediately filled with people hoping to have stupid, meaningless conversations the entire trip. So he pushed into a window seat and tried to make himself as small as possible to avoid any unwanted attention. And again, this immediately backfired. A young woman walked up to him.
As you do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This is all very accurate to life.
Anytime I've ever wanted to avoid conversation has been the time where it's like, oh, and here's a guy who wants to talk.
Yeah.
A young woman walked up to him, dressed in the robes of the religious order. She was slight and unusually tall, with a shock of less than natural white hair. Excuse me, would you mind if I got the window seat? I've never made this trip before, and I'd like to see the sights. Yeah, sure. Ragmaker figured it would be easier to just relent and hopefully get back to his preparations. As the train started to move, the woman looked back at him and said nervously, "Have you been before?" "It's my first time." "So you said. And yes, just try not to get too caught up in the sex clubs and opium dens. Those can be a slippery slope for people coming from the order. My name's Ragmaker. It's nice to meet you." "Oh, of course. My name is Drink Mixer." He could tell she was lying, but didn't bring it up. People on their first trip down were usually pretty guarded. Having gotten these pleasantries out of the way, Ragmaker settled back into planning his trip. He would go find a place to live first. There was never a shortage of housing in the City of Dark. It was just a matter of finding somewhere you would be comfortable and not too often disturbed by the roaming sex parties. Speaking of, he was also going to ignore the advice he gave the woman next to him and seek out the nearest opium den / sex bungalow and get real fucked up. For as long as he could stand it. A little bout of struggling with addiction always helped to speed along the process of penance. Ragmaker was then interrupted. "Oh, I probably should have known there wouldn't be much for sights, going underground and all." Drink Mixer said to no one in particular, but clearly also directed at Ragmaker. I didn't want to spoil the surprise for you. There was an awkward silence before Drink Mixer said, So, are there really roaming gangs of ratscallions? In a sense. They aren't really gangs. Mostly it's the ratscallion version of sex parties. They all just walk around fucking their rags and don't bother anyone.
That's about as harmless as you can get.
Yeah. Still pretty terrifying, though.
Yeah. Really, all the people in the City of Dark are the same as the ones in the City of Light. It's just a place to go and let loose for a little bit. Well, except for the organ thieves. But they're usually pretty cordial about it, at least. And the tourists are just typical tourists. Awful, but necessary, I guess. Drink Mixer thought about this. It would have been nerve-wracking making this trip. At the monastery, there were always whispers of the Dark City. But much of it was speculation. People getting lost and never coming back, or returning with horrible diseases. In all that time, though, she would never have heard any story about the locals. Only things about people from the light going down and suffering the consequences. So maybe Ragmaker was right. The only residents were people from the City of Light on their pilgrimage. And these thoughts put her mind at ease, though they shouldn't have.
That's foreshadowing.
As anyone can tell you, the worst tourists are the ones from your own home, because of the embarrassment you feel on their behalf when they do something incredibly obnoxious, as they always do. The train arrived at the Station of Dark. Ragmaker and Drink Mixer made their way to the platform. It was appropriately moodily lit. Vast corridors that seemed to be filled with people either rushing out to go about their pilgrimage or the groggy slog of those making their way back from it. Well, I should be on my way. You have fun out there, said Ragmaker, happy to finally be off on his own, for the moment at least. Wait, if it's not too much to ask, do you think I could join you for a few days? This immediately seemed odd to Ragmaker, but what could he say? She was clearly scared about her first trip down. And then he realized something, and he said, Grow up. You're not helpless. I'm not your savior. This isn't some bullshit fairy tale where the man saved the woman from the terrors of reality. Fucking finally, dude. I thought you were gonna go through with it. This gave Ragmaker some pause, but ultimately it was a relief. If she had actually been an awful, boring stereotype, he would have even more to regret about this trip so far. Well, I have some patience for stupidity, but not too much, he replied. Good, because I have decided that we are about to get real fucked up. My actual name is High Priestess. Ragmaker was surprised. He had always only been a casual member of the religion, and really only used it as an excuse for particularly debaucherous vacations. He had, however, heard of the High Priestess. She was said to have an innate understanding of the religion, balancing her followers' souls and all that nonsense. Before you ask, she interrupted this thought process. Even the best priestess needs to get her fuck on sometimes. And as you can tell by the arrogance of that statement, this is gonna be epic. And I need you to come along and slap me out of it in a few months' time. And for that service, you'll be given a place at my side in the order, which includes pension and, to be frank, the more obvious benefits of serving me. Well, sounds better than my original plan. So do you want to start at an opium den or straight to a sex pile? Oh, you've got to start with the sex piles, she said, as she started running and stripping her clothes off. The opium is for dulling the senses afterwards. Ragmaker had broken into a sprint, following after her, and they both leapt into a particularly enticing orgy pile.
I'm imagining like Scrooge McDuck, like fucking jumping into the gold coins.
Yep, just like that.
Yep.
And thus concludes the first part of the great romance of the High Priestess, the Grand Equalizer, and Ragmaker, her humble bitch and maker of finest rags any ratscallion has ever fucked. From the book of Not Being a Pussy About Drugs and Sex in the Grand and Holy as Hell Book of Light and Dark. Yeah, that's the end.
No!
It's a religious text.
This was a religious text.
Yep.
As all best stories are a part of.
Oh my god.
Exactly.
Oh my god. I mean, that's what I was thinking of as you were reading it. Like, okay, so the planet Zen, like, yeah, I made some basic rules, like, for the story I was telling, but I didn't really go into detail about what the City of Light was like. So I thought it was really cool that you spent a lot of time there.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like, fleshed out the religion now.
A little bit, yeah. Definitely a departure from what I usually write, so it was amusing.
I think writing from the perspective of like this is a religious text, I think that's really interesting. Like, I don't know, because now it's, I don't know, like religious texts have that kind of whole like I don't know, like, did it happen? Did it not happen? Apocryphal like thing about it. And so, like, this is a story that people go to sermons to hear about. I think that concept in itself is also funny.
Yeah.
Man, they might have got me to stick around if they read this at church.
Like, well, don't be a pussy about drugs.
High and mighty priest talking about some lady getting her fuck on.
Yeah, when I wrote the story in the City of Light, there was a high priest. I don't know that I called him a high priest, but there was a high priest, I guess. And then the only other character that had a name in the whole City of Light, like they were, cultists or whatever they were called, pilgrims. Yeah. But then, the only other character that had a name was Ragfucker, and I guess he was also a member of the religion.
I think that's just a naming convention on the planet now.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Wait, so...
it's cultural.
Do they take names later? Or do they, like, are they born with that name?
I mean, I wouldn't think they would be born with it, because that, like, you name your kid Ragfucker, you don't really have a lot of hope for them, but, like... I don't know.
Well, does anybody have a lot of hope for him?
Probably not.
Although I guess Professor Goofy was also maybe technically part of the religion, so or he was at least there, apparently trying to fuck up his life. So I don't know, how long ago is this in terms of from where my current stories are happening? Is this an ancient Bible story, or?
At the start, I did make a vague reference to Ragfucker, but...
A vague reference with all the rag fucking...
well...
There's no way to know that he pioneered
like,
that.
To that specific character I made reference, like, not to his preferred pastime.
Oh, so he was there purchasing rags.
Yeah.
For fucking.
Yeah, to sell to fuck and to sell to the people in the City of Dark.
Okay.
He was buying. So
oh my god, wait.
It depends on how old Ragfucker is. Maybe he's an ancient, like, Lovecraftian horror that is just too caught up in fucking rags to fulfill the end of the world. But
too caught up in fucking rags to die.
Yeah.
I don't. Now that you mention it, I don't know that I ever said what he is. In my mind, I always imagined him being a human, but that's just because when I first introduced him, I imagined him being Jafar in the prison at the beginning of Aladdin.
Yeah, see, and Jafar is a djinn, so he could be old as fuck.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. I don't remember what he sounds like, but I think I had watched Aladdin, and then that impacted a lot of my stories.
Yeah. Aladdin's a good flick.
Yep. No, and Aladdin is part of the universe of Limited Possibilities. It's canon. They're in the same universe.
Nice.
Together with Aqua Teens, I think, at one point we said.
Probably.
Yep.
I'm sure they've been brought up before.
Aladdin and that same universe. Along with a whole bunch of rag fucking.
Yep. Yeah. A lot more than you probably expected.
And now I can't keep recording.
I don't know. I think maybe this story does come from a long time ago, and Ragfucker, who he's the only one actually named Ragfucker. He's the only one carrying on the ancient tradition. Maybe he's a lot more important in the church than I thought.
Yeah, that could be one way to go about it.
Yeah. Because I do need to.
Is Ragfucker a rat scallion?
No, he's a human.
I don't know what he is at this point.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I think they're all converts, so they could be anything. Goofy is a gray, or half gray, half cyborg.
Sorry, but forever, Professor Goofy is just going to be Goofy from TM Disney. In my mind, every time you say him, I just picture Goofy. I'm like, oh yeah, Goofy.
I don't. I watch Disney now, and I think, oh my god, my character's got the same name. But yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say that, yeah, that did sound like me. Thank you for emulating me without, making fun of me.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing with poor intentions as far as that goes. Your stories are typically a lot more vulgar than mine, so I kind of played that up a bit at parts, but never trying to be mean.
No. I felt bad anytime I laughed at it because I felt like I was laughing at my own jokes. But it was...
Oh, that's good.
But it was yours, and I thought it was very funny because I'm a child.
Yeah. Any specific thoughts or impressions, Adam?
Because I loved how you made everybody a ragfucker, and I also loved how you gave everybody their jobs as names. But that could also just be part of the biblicalness of the Bibble. The Bibble would be. Good Samaritan's just named Good Samaritan. He doesn't have a fucking name.
Yeah, well, he's distinct because he's the only good one.
Yeah.
He's the only good one.
But
it's a morality tale.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Yeah, this is definitely a morality tale.
Yeah.
Just going to show that morals are relative. But, anyways.
You've truly captured my voice.
Yeah.
And all that with never taking a creative writing class, too.
I'm embarrassed now admitting that I did. And you listened to mine going you had to learn that?
I think we should all be forced to take one of those classes.
Yeah.
I agree,
probably. Yeah, so next time we'll be back with a story from Todd. Back in our own universes, where it's comfortable, and if you fuck something up, you're only hurting yourself. So, yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that bullshit. we have a Discord now. You can join that if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are frequently talking in the Discord with each other.
Oh, yes, we are. I don't have permissions, but...
Yep.
What?
You have permissions.
I don't have permissions to post in that Discord. That's really funny. But I don't. Is it a
I'll
private Discord?
I'll fix that in a little bit. But anyways, yeah, so see you next time.
Yep.
See ya.
Bye.